Octopus tentacles. You're going to start with chunks of clay and you're going to roll them into coils. But the difference with the coils is that you want to taper them so they're a little bit skinnier at one end to get that look of the tentacle. So as I start rolling my coil, I'm going to apply even pressure, but then as I work to the right side, what I'm going to do is apply more pressure and then not press here to start to thin out that end for the tentacle. The other thing you're going to want to look at is when the clay is softer, you can bend them however you want. So some of you are having legs that kind of come up and grow off of your piece. So if you wanted something like that, you would bend this and then wad up some paper towel, put it underneath, and let this get a little leather hard before we start adding the textures and the details. It'd be the same thing if you're doing a handle for a mug or a cup. If your clay is starting to dry out and it's starting, if you're trying to bend your tentacles and they're cracking, what you can do is get your hands wet and really run water over your whole piece. And then this will, one, smooth out your tentacle, but it'll also rehydrate it so you can get the shape that you're looking for. Because you're adding water, this does take a little bit longer to dry, but that's how you can get those nice curved shapes. For the textures or the suction cup portions of the tentacle, I'm going to suggest making and pinching off a bunch of little pieces of clay. And then you're going to roll balls. So since your palm is naturally rounded, you're going to take the clay and with your index finger, you're just going to roll in your palm. You make a bunch of these. So you're going to want different sizes because as you see, the part that's closer to the body is bigger. And then as it gets tapered out, it gets smaller. So you're going to want little smaller balls of clay for the tip of the tentacle. Adding the little suction cups to your tentacle. So I'm going to flip this over. Your clay should be more leather. So where it kind of keeps its form, it's not as mushy. You can see it's kind of sticking up right there. It's staying. So the back side or wherever you're going to put the tentacles, you're going to want to score and slip. So that means you got to scratch up the area. If you know you're not going to see everything where you're scratching, you can scratch up the whole area at once. And then you have your slip in your slip bottle or in your tub. So I have the tub. So I'm just going to dab this on. So I'm taking, and as I'm doing this, I'm trying to find ones that are the same width, and then they're slowly getting smaller. You might choose to have two, or maybe you start staggering them. I'm going to stagger them, I think, back and forth. So my finger under here is just supporting this because I still want that to kind of sit up once I'm done. So it's best to do all this pre-work, like I'm rolling all the balls. If you're gonna do this in a couple settings, keep the rolled pieces in your tub, a little plastic Tupperware, so they don't dry out. That's one of the biggest things. You don't want them to dry out. And then I'm gonna just push them down a little bit to make sure they're secure. But if you look at suction cups on a so this is where you can have fun with finding found objects in your house. So a pen, pencil, you can use the back end of one of your ceramic tools, Sharpie, and to see what you like to give you that texture. So you're gonna do this on a practice, but I wanted to show you some different options. So you could start with the back end of just the rounded tool and gently push, and you're gonna see that leaves a suction cup look. I found the Sharpie, I kind of like that because it's got a double circle. Now you can see I put too much slip, so you don't want to do a lot of slip, otherwise you're gonna have to try to figure out how to get rid of that. Maybe as it gets smaller, the pen. So that's where I started to space these out. It might be better to space them out a little bit. So if I do the pen, although that looks a little different. I don't know if I like that or not. So that's where you want to practice what look you're going for. Do you just like, if you don't want something as textural, as this does give a little bumped element, you can let your clay harden up to that leather hard, and then just simply push in to your tentacle that you created. So I'm taking that tool and I'm just rocking it and repeating it. If your clay is too soft, you're gonna get residue left. So make sure that clay is more leather hard. The difference with that is as the tentacle gets larger or closer to the body, you're gonna wanna rock the tool so you can get those holes a little wider to make that look a little more realistic. So as this gets smaller, I'm probably gonna have to find a different tool to follow. So I still want these impressions deep, so the glaze will show in the end, but then I might have to go in and find, I'm not sure, a pencil. As it gets smaller, I could do the pencil then. And you can see that. Similar look, just not as, I would say, textural or realistic, but it works. So up to you.